closed my eyes and I was right there, side of stage with Nick. That was the Prodigy Smack My Bitch Up. Nick, when we were listening to that, you mentioned the video clip.
Oh, I think you can't listen to it and not bring up the film clip, especially if you're going to talk about the track. I mean, it was obviously banned across the whole. It was banned film clip. Not many. I don't know. That's actually a good one to look at. How many film clips have been banned, but that one is definitely banned. And I think it was from a producer called Jonas Ackerlund, who made heaps of short films. I think he won a Grammy with Madonna, Ray of Light. Yeah, so he just did an amazing film clips. This is like from a person's perspective, and it resonated with the UK and geezers because it's about a dude. You got to watch a film clip, but it's from his perspective. So the whole film clip is from the person, you never see their face, and they're walking through town, boozing up, hitting on a girl, getting slapped, ending up finding a girl at the end of the night, like it's
horribly explicit.
Yeah, vomit. You see, drug use. It's really explicit, and that's what has been banned.
And so
the only place you can actually watch it is on Vimeo. If you can find it on Vimeo, it's not on YouTube, but it's on Vimeo if you want to watch it. Yeah.
The Prodigy, like you spoke about, their energy, they're obviously, crazy, making a statement of art. That song's like, it's very explicit. Like, it's obviously, once you talk about music for a bit, you realise things are considered. Like, it's not just accidentally. They're making a statement about all kinds of stuff. What were they like? Did you have much to do with them when you're stage manager?
We had a few drinks at times. Absolute legends, so down to earth. It was their 15th year of touring, so they've done all the partying. They're past all that. It's a job. It's respectful to everyone. Stay in their lane, do their thing, have a laugh. Yeah,
Right.
they were good.
They were
people.
professionals.
Yeah, they were good people.
Yeah, cool. Because
rest in peace, Keith, who's passed away. So. Suddenly, that's a bit. I know they toured last year without him, so pretty cool experience,
mate. Very cool, and thanks for sharing. It's blowing my mind thinking about you with all these like crazy big artists, getting them in from international areas into Australia, running gigs. Like, it must have been a serious time of your life.
Yeah, it was fun. It was serious. Lots of money involved, lots of mistakes. And it was, it was cool. It was really cool. Like, I think, broke some really cool artists. I think I was the first person to bring down Disclosure. I heard Disclosure, and I was like, wow, who's this? I got in contact with their agent, Tom Schroeder, and I was like, I want to bring him. And it's like, okay, and I did a deal. So artists like that. Like when you hear something and you bring them down, and you're hanging out with them and getting their story. It's a cool experience.
The Disclosure album, Settle, has a really clear memory for me. It's so transportive, and it's PTA theme, so I have to mention it.
Yeah.
And I think I've actually talked about it when I played What's in Your Head once, maybe on this show.
Yeah.
And for me, it is driving from Melbourne up to Falls Creek. So when I was the year out of school, had planned to go travel, sort of couldn't because footy was going well, but we had a buy in the middle of the year. And me and three of my best mates, or four of my best mates, plus four of my best girl mates, like our sort of little crew from St Mary's High School, we flew over to Melbourne, had a week in Melbourne, and then went up into the snow and went snowboarding for a week. And the first time I ever spoke to the West Coast Eagles was a phone call that I had, like at this random little roadhouse that you stopped with halfway through.
Yeah.
You stopped at this one place, and I spoke to Brad Smith from the Eagles. So I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm snowboarding in the mountains." And he said, "Oh, well, mate, we'd actually love to catch up with you." And it's so vivid for me, sort of having that happen to me.
Yeah.
Like that sort of starting to materialise a little bit. Jump back on the bus, headphones on, that whole album on repeat for 4 or 5 days of that whole trip. But it's just so vivid for me, looking out the window of the bus, already 2.5 meters off the ground, looking down the cliff and watching this snaky road, and it's my sort of first time in the snow, and Disclosure just takes me there.
Yeah, cool.
So I've got you to thank for it.
Well, not me to thank, but them to thank. But yeah, bring him to Australia was something that I was involved in for the first time, so it was cool. Yeah, they're sweet.
Were there any artists that you dreamt of bringing over that it just didn't materialise?
I think not that dreamt, but we did have what's his name? I'm getting blank. Frank Ocean on the lineup he had just released Novocaine, and we had him in the lineup, and he pulled out last minute. So that was kind of
What lineup was that?
Future Music. Yeah,
Oh, I remember that.
we had him on, and he pulled out. So that was something that was a bit disappointing. But I did get to see him, like he came the only time he's ever come out, which was with another promoter. And was lucky enough to see him because that was the only show he did. He only did one show in Melbourne Festival Hall.
Yeah.
Because he was sick and then didn't do the rest, didn't do Sydney.
Very
memory.
Classic.
So that was cool. Yeah. I mean, like we all love Frank. That was kind of coming at the end of my time with, music industry and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
But again, a little off-air tip. I hear that you could understand maybe how you might pull out last minute on a set. Is that right?
AKA DJ Cancel.
I guess I got so disinterested in DJing, through touring and having to kind of forced to play a style of music that wasn't really what I was into or true to, and the money wasn't enough to keep me going basically. So I started just not rocking up to a few gigs, and that kind of got that moniker. Yeah, DJ Cancel.
I reckon it's a perfect segue to go into what is true to you and what you do love. And I saw a track in there, Water Get No Enemy, by Fela Kuti and the Africa 70. Tony Allen on drums, who we've mentioned before if you've tuned in season 1. An artist that I truly love, and so many other artists have been influenced by and sampled. You're just getting into him now. Where have you found that track?
I mean, I think it's just I heard it and just instantly was like interested by it. I was wowed by it. I think the thought process and this is maybe ignorance of music coming out of that geographical area in that time in the 70s, and to have so much to resonate so much is such a cool thing. And I think the track Water Has No Enemy, that's like, again, my ignorance is telling me, is it because, I grew up in the 90s and, all you'd see on TV was, you could, sponsor a kid in Africa to give him a water a day or, a litre of water per child. And it was all about water and kids in Africa needing water. So I don't, this track talks about, water and it has no enemy. And I think it's, just something that kind of just kind of aligned. I was like, wow, I need to hear more of this. And so that whole movement, the Afrobeat movement, with Fela and Tony Allen and there's a lot of artists there, just started delving into it, and that's why hence I thought it added. And also I've got a really cool record that following Erykah Badu and loving what she does, she did a compilation which is her basically favourite Fela tracks and albums, which I bought, and it's something that's really
which
cool.
they're surrounding.
Which I think
you
it's
now,
around me.
and
Yeah. So all the cool artwork. There's a really cool artist that's done it, African artist that's done the majority of that stuff. That's all been redrawn, I think, for the album, and retouched up. So yeah, I mean, Fela's cool, and this is a tune.